I'm not gonna play any crazy music today. So I'm sure I don't know if it mutes our mics or not, but I'm gonna thank our sponsors. Then we'll go into it. So
ain't nothing playing. I don't know if you.
It's playing. It's playing.
Oh, okay, I can't see it. I normally can see it.
Yeah, it's playing. Like I said, we'll thank our sponsors. There's some people already jumped on there already, so it ain't but a minute long. So
that's just me.
Oh goodness.
Tim, you gonna stay awake tonight?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Hey Tim, I found your snacks in the back of my boat today.
Yeah, all them trail mix.
All that trail mix, those strawberry things.
I took a nap today.
What did you take out?
I took a nap today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
There we go.
It's fire.
Oh, here we go. They're talking about snacks already.
Hey,
the last time I went fishing with Shilo, your snacks saved my life out there, Tim. It was raining, miserable.
He's like, I ain't got nothing to eat. I said, I guarantee there is an oatmeal cream pie or something back there. And it was honey bun. They were sitting back there in the box.
Yeah, they went down like a prisoner. I just just
Yeah,
wolfed
I
them.
don't think he tasted them. He just
No, I wolfed them down. All right, man. We got some people. Daryl Moore tuned in from Texas. Hey, buddy. Paul Foster, Keith Spencer, Tim Maddox, Jordan Hauser, Clinton's on here, Bill Lolly. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Everybody, I don't know y'all know Shilo and Tim. That's the Alabama Crappie Trail back-to-back state champions. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Back-to-back. So that is a good thing. They're going to be telling some details about that. What they want to share with it anyway. But and John's he is at Seminole, Lake Seminole. I keep wanting to say you follow, but he is at Seminole.
We are. It's a good day today. Hanging out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got some pictures you can share. You can go ahead and kind of talk before we let Shilo and them go. What we're looking at right here, John?
That's two trees with a pile of fish in the middle of them.
Yeah, it looks like an Easter egg hunt right there.
And it's very typical for this lake. If you've got two pieces of timber sticking up close to each other like that, they'll get stacked in between the middle of it.
They're like a field goal.
Yes. And I sent you another picture of a stump.
Yeah, there you go, right there.
Yeah. That's some of the stuff we talked about before. A stump, we got fish above it. You can see the shadows in the background of the fish. You can tell what size they are. Did pretty good on those two spots there.
Yeah, he did. He got his limit there. They done good, but
that ain't no Easter egg hunt. That's the pot at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, no kidding. You see that for sure. So let's see. Alabama Crappie Trail. This is where was it? Logan Martin, right?
Yep. So I hate the place though.
How much pre-fishing did y'all get to do?
Let's see. I probably picked him up Wednesday morning at the Airbnb. What time was that? Probably 6:30.
Yeah.
And then we went put gas in the boat and we fished till about 4:30, 5 o'clock Wednesday, and probably about 3:30, 3:45 Thursday. So just 2 full days, pretty much.
There you go. Covered a lot of water, or just cover what y'all did in the?
Not really.
You haven't really fished there since the.
I haven't been there at all since Wally's.
Wally's tournament, yeah, that's right.
I still don't like the place, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Hey, John knows how it is. I hate places I go and win. I don't know. Logan's one of those different places. We really, Tim, I wouldn't say we covered any new water. Would you?
It's never been a fun lake for me either. I've always tournaments just went down there, and a lot of times not even practice, just went down there and fished the tournament. It just ain't a place I've always ever cared about. Spending a whole lot of time there.
Before we went, Tim and I kind of had a plan in our minds that we weren't going to fish downriver. I knew the boat traffic and the pressure would be ridiculous, and I wasn't going to put up with it. So yeah. I knew we were going to stay up north before we even went. But we fished a lot of the same waypoints I found in September.
Right.
Checked those Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday we kind of went exploring a little bit in some like real shallow water. But that was about it. We didn't do too much side scanning, too much looking.
Well, you kind of, you cover so much water during that Wally tournament. I know you've done a lot of pre-fishing for that.
Yeah, 6 days down there.
Yeah, that's your past history with that play.
Safe flight to 5 p.m. for 6 days. You can scan a lot of water.
Oh yeah.
And I think days 2, 3, 4, and 5, we really didn't drop the trolling motor, but maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours just to check stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We just side scan and mark.
I hear you. So I didn't know. What kind of weight did y'all have the first day? I looked, but I didn't recall. What weight did y'all have the first day of the state championship?
1029.
1029. That's on 5 fish, right?
5 fish. We did not expect it at all.
What was your big fish? It was a 238?
238 or 239.
Yeah.
So we'll just break down the tournament. We knew going into it we weren't going down south. We fished down south Thursday, and I told Tim at probably 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, I said, my gut's just telling me we need to stay up north. We need to stay up there and just fish it slow and take our time and fish it thoroughly. And that's what we did. We didn't leave the ramp till 5:45 Friday morning, went up north, started in a shallow creek, doing John's favorite thing, dock shooting. We had John, I did not feel accomplished when we pulled up to this dock, and I seen them. They were still all sitting there. There was probably, Tim, what would you say, 50 or 75 of them?
Yeah.
Just to establish this as not my favorite thing, I hate like shallow.
Don't let him fool you guys.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
So we pulled up. We knew there was a bunch of pound and quarter fish in that area. So we knew going into it was going to take 7.5, 8 pounds a day. That's just kind of what we felt like, and that's what everybody else was saying. So I knew we could get that upriver. We pulled in that dock, and there was 2 big ones sitting on the ladder on the outside of the dock, believe it or not. I prop washed them and let them run out to the open water, and we caught one, and it's 152 or 146. So that was probably 605, 610 when we caught her. So we were already ahead of schedule. We caught a couple more pound 10s off the dock and went to another creek nearby. Tim, we probably left that first spot pretty early, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was probably 6:15 when we idled out of there. And we went to the next creek, and I caught a pair of 150s off shallow stake beds. I'm talking 5.5, 6 foot of water. And that was before 7 o'clock. So we knew at 7 that we were already 2 hours ahead of schedule. But everybody knows that you're tournament fishing, you're looking for 1 tournament fish an hour. We already had 3 in the first hour. So we finished up. I think we left that creek about 9 o'clock. There was some Roman fish in there sitting under shad. I think we left there with a little over 6 pounds, I think, on my scale. And we went out, and I just went out to the river ledge where I fished in September and started slowly creeping up it. We were one of 2 boats that went up north. The other boat went way up north. They went all the way to the dam.
That's right.
So we went out to the river ledge and just kind of slowly started picking apart. And we caught a couple 150s out there. And back in September, I found a tree that we caught a pair of hybrids off of. They weren't big hybrids. 130s, I think, are the biggest. But in September, those were kickers. I mean, those you couldn't buy one of those in September.
Right.
So we went out there, and I looked down that tree, and sure enough, there's a giant sitting on it. I told Tim, I said, this is her. If we can get her to bite, we're going to be in good shape. And sure enough, I dropped a little bitty brown jig on her, and she come up and smacked it. I knew from that moment on it was going to be wild.
Shallow, talk about that brown jig. And
He was showing it for the show. Go ahead.
What happened? I wasn't on when y'all talked about it, but that brown jig and why you did it.
So we had Thursday night when we had our meeting there at Lincoln Landing, which they put on a good dinner for us and everything. It was great. There was a lot of mayflies running around. Oh, we lost Tim.
Oh.
There was a lot of mayflies up in the rafters, and they were fresh. You could tell that they weren't but a day old. So I knew if it was happening at Lincoln, my buddies on Neely and on Weiss, they had told me that there hadn't been a hatch up there yet. So I knew in between somewhere that hatch line had stopped. And I was hoping it was far enough upriver that it'd be blowing mayflies down. And sure enough, so this is what the jig is supposed to look like.
Yeah, pretty good. Was it copperhead? Is that what they call it?
That is copperhead, little 1/64th. And so I haven't taken this off my rod for probably 3 months. I've guided with it. I just retie it every now and then. So this is what it looks like now.
It's some skin up.
I mean, it's got thread hanging off of it. But to me, and John, you might notice this too, the more they get beat up, the better they perform. I mean, it's just.
I think some of that's the confidence too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that thing smells like fish. You know.
James Bailey put in there. No, you can't have any.
That's James said, no, John, you can't have any.
But
I actually have some of those. I haven't fished with them much. I threw some the other day at Tuesday for just a minute, but
it's a confidence bait. It really is. And I knew that brown was just being natural. With them pulling water Friday, I was able to really kind of set that bait in front of them. And being a 64th, that current's picking it up, making it look natural flowing down through the river. And I really think that's just what got them bigger fish to trigger Friday. And I showed Shane this, I'm using a 64th ounce head, but I'm running.
He's got a Carolina rig.
That's a little over an ounce of tungsten. So I'm putting it down there and getting it in front of their face. And trust me, every time I set the hook, Tim's grabbing the neck because he thinks it's a giant. But
you got a double stack. You know, a lot of us want to run that one weight, but that double stack flows through the water better. I mean, do you think so, Shilo?
As far as flowing through the water better, it's just faster. I mean,
yeah.
If I put that rod there, that bait's there within.
Was you using a 15-foot rod?
17.
Oh, I know what rod you were using.
Yeah, I was running a 17-foot machine.
I got you.
And I did do some casting. I don't know what bait Shane gave me, Tim gave me, but he had a pile of baits in the back of the boat, and I would just tell him, "Hey, I need a bait." And he'd put one on there, and I'd start flinging at him.
Hey, so you're using a 17-ounce weight, and you're getting over are these fish in open water? Are they in brush pile stumps?
So Friday we had a lot of current, which was, I think, key to them getting those big fish to bite. Like I said, the way I was presenting my bait to those fish was I was putting it upstream of them and letting that little bitty jig pick up in the current and blow into their face. And then once I got their attention, I would slide them out off the brush pile to where if I did stick them, I wasn't trying to fight them in the brush. So, but I was running 15-pound fluorocarbon, so I wasn't worried about getting them hung in there. You never know with these summertime fish. They may just grab the tail of it and you're pulling them up by a thread. So
I got you.
What happened? We had the 240, that's that fish we caught at probably about 9:30, 9:45 that morning. And we
I can't remember. It's one let's see. I don't know if it's in this picture or not. Where's that picture at?
Pull it up.
Shilo, what you think that 240 would have weighed when she was filled out?
She's probably been right at 3.
That's the one on your left hand right there, right?
Yeah. The fish on the very far right.
I should have blew that up a little more before I put it on there.
That fish, and Tim, we didn't measure, but we kind of both mutually agreed that she was probably right at 17 inches.
That's a big.
Had to be.
Now, I fully think that fish in February, March, she's pushing 3, if not over. She was healthy, but she didn't have no belly on her. So post spawn, we kind of all figure that. But so we caught her, followed it up with a 160, and then we probably weren't 50 feet from that pile, and came across another one. that she was in a root wad, and I told Tim, I said, she's acting, she'll eat. We just got to find the right bait, because I put that hair jig on her, and she, John, you've seen it, Shane, you've seen it. When you drop that fish and they come to that bait before it even gets to the top of the pile, and they were sitting down in it, like, okay, I know you're willing to eat, but I just got to cycle through stuff to put it in your face to get it to eat. So I had Tim, I'm gonna call him my minnow man. I said I need a minnow, and he gave me one, so I lip hooked it like we all do.
Yeah.
Down there, she did the same thing, came right back to it, sat underneath it. When she lost interest, I pulled it out of the water and I said, give me another minnow, we're gonna do something different. And I was running a half ounce of tungsten to a 32nd ounce jig head. And I learned this from Matt Rogers back when he won the ACT on Grenada, I think back in 15, 16. So he threads the minnow on the hook. You actually go in down through the gullet and pop out the side of the ribs or behind the dorsal fin. I slid that minnow on there and dropped right down to her. She came out and looked. And this time I just kind of kept driving the trolling motor with her, getting her to chase it. And I finally told Tim, I said, she's on top of it. I don't know if she's got it, but we're going to send it. And I set the hook. She was there. And she had it good. So we got her in the boat. But that was one of those things, and Tim and I talked about it after we caught that fish, was how many people would have gave up on her.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
we knew
Shilo, in November, we weighed in a 257, and just dropped on that fish, casted on that fish. She nose up. We threaded that minnow on there, just like you talking about, and that wire keeper that Steve with Limits Tackles that's got that little wire keeper in there. You can thread it up the back of the fish, and that wire keeper will go right in the top of it, root of its head, and it looks just like a jig presentation.
So you're you're just talking about squeezing it or something too, John, sometimes.
Well, you want to kill, you want the minnow to be dead, but you take it and you run that hook up through its head just like you do a jig.
Okay.
And that wire keeper will go right in the roof of its mouth and hold it just like the minnow's on a hook, just like a jig, a plastic is. And we took that long pole and I put it over the top of that root ball. As a matter of fact, Shilo, you'll know it's right outside the bend. You'll know which bend I'm talking about on Neely Henry. We come out and there's several root balls up through there.
Yeah.
And she kept coming out of it. When we cast her, I said, we just got to set something on her and do something different. We set it on her. She popped out there, nosed up, and ate it. And if we hadn't weighed in that fish, it would have been embarrassing. Because we had a terrible weight for that tournament, but she made a difference for us.
Yeah, and John, like you're saying, you knew that fish was there. You knew she wanted to eat, but you didn't know. You just had to keep. And that's what Tim and I talked about. We had to take a minute and collect ourselves after we caught the second one. With the first one, we were like, all right, this is just a fluke. But the second hybrid, we're like, all right, this is not. So we talked about it, and anybody would have gave up on that fish. She was there, but after she looked at a bait 3 times and we just had to keep rotating through stuff, we knew she would eat. It just didn't matter what she was going to eat. So,
did she just come up and sat on the bait? You just felt a little pressure, or you just think you seen
I didn't feel anything.
Oh, really?
I knew where my weight was, and I knew where the bait was supposed to be, and the bait was gone. So it was.
She just hold it, huh?
As John would say, screen setting.
Hey, I run into that, but
I screen set so fast.
The screen setter got here about 45 minutes early.
There you go. She's there.
So
boss is there.
Yeah, we busted her, and after that, we just I think we had right at 9 on our scale, which was way above our expectations. So we just started playing around, looking for big fish only, and we come across more that morning, and we couldn't get them to fire, but it was fun. We quit fishing at 11. I think on the weigh-in slip, Keith checked our fish at 11:38, and we were back at the boat ramp at 11:20 something. So when it happened quick.
That's good. Well, you had all that mark, and you had the confidence in your bait. Tim and you just exchanging lures and sitting there talking about it, man, y'all were set up for it. And hey, it worked out, you know.
Those fish, you could tell they didn't have any pressure on them, and the only thing that made me go up there was Wednesday. We pre-fished up there, and I broke 2 or 3. Tim, how many did I break off?
Oh yeah, a couple of good ones.
I
One on that one stump.
Yeah, I broke several off Wednesday that were, I thought, in that 180 to 2 pound class. So,
Hey, Shilo, y'all talk about what y'all did to keep those fish alive. I mean, we got above 80-degree water temp. What did y'all do? I mean, juice, ice, frozen water bottles. What did y'all do to keep those fish alive?
Tim and I were very unprepared for this tournament. I'm just going to put that right here. I showed up, and I don't think I had a casting rod on the deck of the boat. I mean, we had to, like, full on set everything up. We didn't have any G-juice. No G-juice at all. So we shoved a 20-pound bag of ice in a, how big is that Arctic, Tim? Probably, with that camo Arctic I keep on the boat, my little soft side cooler. We shoved all the ice in there, froze 6 or 7 bottles, and just kept adding ice and looking at them. And we didn't add any G-juice or anything Friday. But your guys' buddy, Mr. Scott Dees, give a shout out to him. He gave us some G-juice Saturday morning, and that Saturday I was a little concerned. So when we filled the live well up, I put some ice in the live well already in the morning before we left the ramp. But so I'll just walk you guys through that. When we go to back boat in water, I've got a lever next to my seat that I can recirc auto or empty. I turn it to recirc, so I don't want any water getting in that live well first thing in the morning, because we're right there at the ramp. All those emissions coming off the motors. So I don't want any water in there. Get to our spot, I'll open it up to auto. We'll fill it all the way up, and then close it down. We don't let any water in the rest of the day. We had ice throughout the day, frozen bottles, G-juice, and I ran an aerator on them, just a Bub's Daddy. I left it on wide open all day, so they were good. Saturday I was concerned. We opened the live well to cull a fish or put a fish in there, and the water was hot, like hot to feel. And you know what that means. Like, John, how many times have you opened that live well and it's hot and you're like, oh crap?
Yeah, what he's saying is, when any hot water, it speeds that fish's metabolism up just like it does you, and you burn more oxygen. If you're not putting more oxygen in there, you're gonna fatigue the fish, and it's terrible. Shilo and Tim, they give me a hard time when we were tournament fishing with them. I was always the one that freaked out. I got to have my water bottles frozen the night before. I got to put one in an hour, every hour, try to keep my water temperature down, keep their metabolism slowed down. You got to think they're already stressed out because you're putting them in a little bitty space and they've been swimming around a damn river forever. So, I mean, you know,
we were highly concerned about that hot water Saturday morning. We caught 3 150s real quick Saturday. But we got it cooled off. And honestly, so I added those TH Marine, I think they're called V2s. They're the vent system that goes on top of your live well. Those have made a huge difference, I feel. Just because when you're moving or have any wind, it's circulating that air.
The cutout vents?
Yeah, the cutout vents.
Top of my lid of my boat, yeah.
They go on top of the live well lids. I feel like they're circulating air, getting that hot air that's in there out, and it's putting that fresh air on top of the water, and it's keeping it cooler. So I think they've made a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, that live well heats up fast.
Oh yeah, you can imagine. You know, y'all have opened a cooler up with no ice in it and felt the heat in there. I mean, yeah, I guarantee you.
Tim's live well is the size of a 5-gallon bucket, if that. In that y'all were in your boat, wasn't you, Shilo? Yeah, we were in my Falcon.
Okay, I got it.
So
that pole craft, you put 63 crappie in there.
63 is what he said.
There's not much water in there left when you do.
I got you.
I was on the sidebar, y'all. I apologize. Hey, when you start throwing the fish back there and the water doesn't splash anymore, you know you got the live well.
Yeah, well, just, hey,
Yeah.
me and Hunt and I were down at you Falls.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
She's over there scratching on the door now, wanting back in. If I let her in, she's gonna start barking.
so Shane stole a cooler from me back in February.
I got one. It's right out here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's right there. It's right there.
You know what? I can see this cooler turning in almost to this hair jig that John won't ever tie for me, but we're okay. So don't worry. I'll just find me another cooler somewhere.
Oh, that's funny.
When that cooler gets full and the lid won't shut, that's a 60-pack. I can tell you that already.
There you go.
Hey, Shilo, I started working on Big Ray on tying jigs tonight. We got the vise out, and I don't know, you know, we're down here on Seminole, and Ray and I are staying at the same place. And he bought him a vise and stuff. We started working on it tonight. But if I could just get him to quit buying them Clover Valley Ziploc bags.
I was on the phone earlier with John. He goes,
I've been messing with him all day about it. He buys good Ziplocs, but it's a fun joke.
Between that and his 2-pound test, I don't know what's worse.
He's throwing 2-pound tests down here in this timber. I said that's like down Indians trying to win the war with down bow and arrow.
Hey, come on now. that 2-pound test, I turned him onto that after Bankhead.
Yeah, he's been telling me all about it.
Ask him about the first time he used it though.
Yeah, he hated it. I think to start off.
I think he set the hook so hard it just broke. It said, "I'm done."
Well, he's got a lot more wing strength with a damn Sasquatch arms.
All he's got to do is lift his finger and the hook's set.
Yeah, y'all. This upcoming February, I'm up in the camp out down there on that damn Warrior.
Oh yeah, Shane's lakes are in trouble.
oh yeah, hey, nobody be messing with him either that time of year.
Shane don't ever fish him. I don't know what he's fussing about. He goes all over the place, catching fish.
It's fixed to get like the Coosa River for long. That Father's Day is just kind of.
He'll be driving, John. He'll be driving down the tackle, and we'll be driving over to his house, staying at his house, catching his fish.
I plan on being with y'all. Scott was talking about that today. Said we need to plan something in of January, 1st of February.
I say we just go fish that tournament and stay 3 or 4 extra days.
There you go.
When is that tournament?
I
know they're gonna do another one. It was like February something.
I think it's the first weekend of February.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm sure D's gonna do another one, but
next week, Big Ray and I are leaving Thursday, and we're going up to Del Hollow for about 4 days of fishing. Shilo, so you've been to Del Hollow before? Tell us what y'all do.
You better be ready to fish deep.
We know we're gonna be going deep, but
you probably looked at half of what I sent Ray, and you were like, half of this stuff is deeper than 25 foot of water.
I don't know anything you sent, Ray. I just looked at the map, trying to figure out, you know, what. Say you had never been there before, what would you do? Show up and do?
If scratching what I know about Del Hollow, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run up the Obi River, which is the main river of the lake. It's not the Wolf. You get back in there, it chokes down. There's some little flats, and they say there's white crappie up there. I've never caught them, but it's more Coosa River style up there. You get an actual creek channel with flats off the edges instead of just a 150 foot channel with 60, 70, 80 foot flats. So up there, it's more 20, 25 foot flats, 30 foot, 35 foot channel.
Yeah. So this time of year, Scott, somebody was asking a question earlier, like not just the Alabama River, but rivers in general, Shilo and Tim and John. If you're just going to go, I'm sitting at home, get on Navionics, a lot of people want to always know how y'all break some water down on the couch, sitting at home before you get there, what you look for on the map, and then what you have to have additional, like stumps, timber, like John calls a horseshoe, like a pocket. What are y'all, y'all doing? Y'all breaking this stuff down at home before y'all even get down there. So, before you can get to the water. So tell us what you're really looking for that you're going to go, what area you're going to go to in the summer, right now.
So, and John and I, so this is where my Yankee comes out of me.
Yankee.
So all you guys, and I'm guilty of it now too, is you guys look at the river first. You guys look at river ledges with stumps. Part of me still says get in them creeks. Get in there in that 6. And Shane, I know you've done it on the Warrior.
Oh yeah.
Was getting up there in 4 foot of water. Part of me just says get in the back of those creeks where the shad are, and you're going to find some good fish back there. Now you're not going to find a lot, and not every creek's going to have them, but it happened at the Alabama River in the creek that we wanted in down there.
Yeah.
Everybody went ledge fishing. We stayed in the creeks both days. This year on Logan, we stayed in the creeks. We spent probably 4 hours of our entire tournament in the creeks. The rest of the time we spent on the river.
Right.
So
your first thing is go shallow, see if you see any fish first. You're never going to do vice versa. You're going shallow first. So.
I'm going to look for them shallow white crappie first because I know if they're going to be there, they're going to be healthy. The only thing, and we found shallow fish last week. We found them as shallow as 3 foot of water. Good fish, good eaters, 10, 11-inch fish, but not what we wanted in a tournament. But it's going back to your question is what we're doing before we even show up is I'm on my laptop now, but I've got Google Earth downloaded and I can go in there and set it back in time and I can go back in time. And what I do is find the closest boat ramp to where I want to fish. And when I'm zooming back in time, I'm looking at the water levels on that ramp. And when I see that the water's way down on that ramp, now I'm looking at those creeks. I'm looking at that river channel because if the water's clear and it's down, you're going to see those stumps on the edge of the channel. You're going to see those root wads up there on the flats. And you're not only going to see that, but in the creeks, you may have feeder creeks in that creek that the banks aren't showing. Little ditches that are only 3 or 4 foot wide or depressions or big flats at the backs of those creeks. So, or like the spot I've got on Logan, I've got a hollow stump in a creek down there that it's just every time I go, I've got to fish it. It's hollow. The big fish get in there and they live in it. 6.5 foot of water. I found it on Google Earth when the water they used to draw it down 6 feet.
Yes.
They've got pictures of it. I went in there. I found that stump. I put my cursor on top of it, wrote the GPS coordinates down, put it in my active captain, put my phone in my active captain on my units on my boat, and that waypoint's in my graphs now. I can go right to that stump from finding it on my computer.
That's pretty good information. So you can click on it and actually tell the GPS coordinates.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll. John, I know you've done it too. You're trying to be all sly over there and quiet. You can put that cursor on top of it, and it'll in the right hand corner. It actually shows the GPS coordinates. But not only that, I use like if I'm going to Grenada or Millwood or East Texas, I'm going to download Bing. I'm going to download Onyx. I'm going to have Google Earth. All of them show different satellite images of those lakes.
I know John and Eric show me Onyx of Grenada when it's drawn down the winter. You can we've talked about it. You can see every ditch, every depression.
Every ditch.
Here's another thing you can do in Navionics. If you go in Navionics, you've got different satellite views. You don't have to just look at one. You can click off one, go to the other one, and it'll show you different satellite views of the lake within Navionics. So Google might have one. You go to the other one. You can cross-reference those things with what you're looking for, and it can be very, very special. Today, hell, I unintentionally caught some fish in like 6.7 feet of water. The wind was blowing a little bit, and I had a spot that was on a ledge, and I was taking the fish off, going to the back of the boat, putting it in the boat, and my live scope, I spun it around to correct, and I was like, holy crap. Never what I thought that I needed to fish something that shallow here, and I did, because normally here you have a lot of grass, and you never get a chance to fish that kind of stuff this time of year. But man,
the cool part I think about them shallow fish too, John, is when you do find them and you are able to present that bait to them, they eat. There's no fooling around with it.
Yes.
Like,
That deep fish has so much time to think about it. If
Yep.
you bring him up from 12, 15 feet, he's got all that time to think about it. You bring it over something on a stump, and you brought it over the top of stump's 2.5 feet from the surface. You dropped over the backside where he's sitting in the shade. He's like, oh, it's dinner time. You know, he's got to get it quickly because he's used to stuff coming up on him quickly.
Well, that's what I ran into Tuesday evening after work, John. I told you, I was like, I checked some deep stuff, and I was like, where we were, there's current there most of the time. And we caught one kind of roaming, and then when I searched and made a, up and down pattern with my live scope, and I found there was a tree right on the edge of a ledge facing up current. And when they're sitting right here in that tree, this is north, and they were sitting right there. I thrown that bait over the top of them. One of them white crappies shot off of there. And it's crazy. The whites were in the top and the blacks were in the bottom. And I'm not talking about 2 or 3 foot deep. And they were wanting to chase something, and that's how they set up.
Shane, there's actually a good question in there about current right now.
Yeah, that Michael just asked that.
Michael Key.
Yeah,
I can really dive in on that one.
Get it.
So this weekend, Friday, we had a lot of current. I say a lot, but there was quite a bit of current starting off where we were fishing. And those fish, so it didn't mess really a whole lot with our creek fish at all. There wasn't enough to mess with them. There was, I think, more fish in there because they just didn't want to deal with it. But when we went out on the river, those fish were set up. So, like you said, you got your stumps, your trees, your root wads. Everything we caught Friday was set up on the downstream in that little eddy. Where that water is rushing down and that stump's sitting here, we were catching them on the backside and it was kind of difficult to get a bait in there because I had the current blowing in my face, the wind blowing sideways, but the current actually had a little bit of a left drift to it. So I was casting right of everything I wanted to fish, and my bait would just show up in the beam.
There you go.
Saturday was different. We got there and it was just flat calm. There was no water moving.
Dead water.
And all those fish, when the ones that we did catch off the stumps were just scattered around. They weren't set up on it. There might have been 1 or 2 on the front side, a couple on the back side, a couple to the right of it, on top of it. It was annoying because when you would cast, everything was everywhere. You had fish coming from fish you weren't seeing coming off the backside. And we caught fish Saturday in the middle of the river, just floating 15 foot down and 35 foot of water, but they were just floating in the middle of the river. No reason.
How did you find those? How the heck did you find them?
I just flipped the trolling motor out, looking down a tree, and when you're looking down a tree with your live scope set at 60 feet, and you see one just floating in the river, you're like, huh, what's that one doing out there? And
yeah,
you go out there and catch it.
I wonder. Yeah, I've seen them do that.
140 white. You're like, okay, maybe I need to just look out over the top of the river. And you go another 60 feet and don't see another fish out there. I don't know. I think with the no current, they were able just to get off those stumps and kind of get out and move around and get a breather, chase some shad around.
I think, we get the more you fish, and you guys already know this, but like the sun and the current positions fish in certain places at certain times of the day, and that's where you got to be. I mean, some people, I used to watch Van Dam back in the day when I was a kid, and he wouldn't go in these flooded stumps till 11 o'clock. He knew his square bill was going to work at that time because the fish were setting up at that time. People don't think about a lot of that. They're just going, well, the fish ain't here. They leave, and there's a reason why they're not there, or they're there, or they aren't there, So there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of learning to do if you pay attention.
Yeah, and it's not saying we didn't see those big fish Saturdays. We did. They were there. We just, with no current, they didn't set up and they wouldn't eat right. You know, that bait just didn't look natural coming down the river, and we couldn't connect on those fish. So.
I know John's got about 4 or 5 distractions in the background.
Yeah.
I'm sure Byron's there. The boss Jessica's right there. Ray's right there.
I'm getting a lot of hell in the background. They all had to give me a special signal as they walked out the door. But hey, I got a total side note, but while it comes across my brain, I need to talk about it. All right, so today I did some side imaging. So when you're doing some side imaging, looking fish on ledges, don't be on the all right, if you can run down the ledge and get to a point where you want to be on the deeper side of the ledge. And let me tell you why. And this happens, and it happens to me a lot because I'm not paying attention. All right, so imagine this is a countertop at your house. If you are here and you're shooting a beam out, you cannot see what's on the back side of your countertop because you're up here on the top of your countertop.
Right.
You want to be over here by the floor side, I would say.
Up the ledge. Looking
up the ledge for your stuff. So today I was being a dummy. I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, I slid off the side. I knew there was a stump to off the ledge. And I was like, there's a reason I didn't see it. I'm on the shallower side of the ledge. I cannot obviously look over down a countertop if you can get what I'm saying.
The ledge, it actually shoots over the top instead of down.
Yeah. So you want to be on the deep water side of the ledge and shoot whether you go upstream or downstream and shoot back toward the shallower water, and that's where you get your good pictures and things like I share.
Shadows.
Shane can show that one of those pictures that you can see that I was shooting back toward the shallower side. And,
which one? Yeah, that's right.
So
that's zoomed in on your left side, looking up the ledge. So
yeah, I didn't know if we'd ever talked about that before.
No. You really man. I think live scope it is what it is. You're gonna see what you see, but a lot of people don't realize what they're looking at with side scan, and I understand because it's that spot right there is a dead giveaway. You got a bunch of Easter eggs sitting in a field goal.
Well,
this one here is a little bit different though. Describe what you're looking at right there, because some people say that looks like a black blob with some light stuff on top of it. What the heck,
That lighter stuff on top is a fish, it's a stump, and then the shadows they're showing fish up in the water column because there's separation between the light stuff and the shadows.
Yes.
But here's the deal. Shilo will tell you, and Tim will tell you, with Shilo, he messed with a lot more whitefish up there where he came from. So he probably did less side imaging because he was like hunting on flats and stuff. You side imaged a bunch when you were doing up there?
Yeah. So, and Shane, I don't know if we did this when you went with me, but so I'll actually side scan them flats, and I'm actually picking them singles.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's seen the little dots like bass sitting at the bottom.
And if you go back to the Alabama River last year when we won the state championship there, I know you said something about it whenever you guys left the ramp. I had side scanned that flat right there in Swift, and you could see the shad up on the surface. But what no one was picking apart was the crappie that were sitting underneath them. I was actually side scanning them, seeing them out there, and I've done it on Weiss. I had not even really a secondary ditch, but a flat on Weiss that I side scanned this spring, and I said the white crappie are here, and all spring long, I sat in one little area and just beat them down. They were rolling in off the river, and it was the first flat off the river, and I could side scan it and tell if they were there or not. And that's what I fished. But back home in Illinois, that's what I would do. I would side scan, not necessarily because those white crappie, they like to get out and roam. They don't want to sit on brush all year long. I would side scan humps and flats, and you could actually pick them out in the mud.
But I wasn't necessarily saying you you didn't do it to find the whitefish, but when you want to see stacked black crappie on stumps, side imaging will
Oh yeah.
tell the tale.
100%. Well, you could cover water so much faster. A lot of people rely on that live scope too much because they can't read their side scan, and I understand. Like I said, I think you really need to comprehend and understand what you're looking at side scan. That way, you can pinpoint with your live scope. Put a spotlight on it per se. But a lot of people's like, I just cover water on my
use it anymore.
Right, you're right. You're exactly right.
I didn't hear what you were saying.
You don't see many people using it anymore.
No, you don't.
They just stick it. Yeah, they stick cold water down, running.
So Tim and I, we went pre-fishing Wednesday. We went and fished that ledge. We seen those good fish there, and I told him, I said, we're gonna pull the trawl motor, we're gonna side scan this ledge all the way down, and that's what we did. We side scanned, marking more stumps all the way down that ledge. So we knew we had probably Tim, a mile of water we could fish if we really wanted to, of ledge. Easily.
Yeah.
Live scope changed a lot of stuff. But it's 10 times faster to scan with side scan and then go back than it is to.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, before everybody used to, shooting docks. You can just idle by a dock. That dock's got fish. This dock got fish. Same way that's a dead giveaway though. They're easy to spot, easy to see. But like what John and Shilo and them's talking about, they're actually talking about a bottom with a little bitty blip on it. You're talking about a fish hanging on the bottom, just a little bitty blip. That's a white crappie roaming the bottom. The ones Shilo and I caught at Gunnersville, they would come up off the bottom and go back. They're just singles, but they were nice, big white crappie.
So those fish at Gunnersville, that was a neat deal because they weren't in the creek. And we weren't but 200 feet from the creek channel. But so the creek channel would come up, going out of the flats, it'd come up 9 foot and then taper back down into 12. And those white crappie, if you just got up on top of the creek channel and scanning, I knew there were stumps along it. And, I wasn't going to get a good image looking down into the creek because I don't have nothing to cast that shadow on. It's just shooting down into deep water. I was looking for those whites that were up on top of the flat on the backside of those humps.
Right.
And that's what Shane and I did. And we would come across the wad that'd be 4 or 5, or we may just come across singles.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was different. It reminded me when I went, my buddy Jonathan Henry passed away of cancer several years ago. He was a big bass guy. And, man, we done that same way, throwing spoons, jigs, swim baits. The way those crappie set up, those bass were setting up in pods. Little pods of 3 or 4. When they come up off the bottom, they were ready to go. Mm-hmm. They're hugging the bottom, they were iffy. That's the kind of – that's a lot. Those fish that Shilo fished, that's why I say he's so good at finding crappie, guys. Those fish, nobody was messing with those crappie that we caught. Not a soul.
Well, but here's the deal with that. Shilo will tell you, like, out on those flats where those fish are real close to the bottom, you'll see the white dot, but you won't necessarily see the shadow.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So what you got to – that means they're hugged down closer to the bottom.
They're tight.
Way away from the fish, it means he's up in the water column. And so you come across a 9, 10, 12-foot flat and you see that white dot on the bottom, that's very possible to be those white fish that's hugged down at the bottom. Then you got to get good at I've seen Shilo do some stuff that's pretty neat. He'll turn his gain way down, and he can pick. It gives him some separation that a lot of people.
Oh yeah, he runs his so clear. It's like a pond, like a swimming pool. He runs at 58, 60, or 55, or
Shilo, I've seen you 52, 53 on your game.
Yeah, I ran it. I've ran my color game, like 70, and I've run it all the way down to 49, 50, 51 at times. And what I'm looking for when I'm doing that is when you got those big root wads and you're wanting to dim out, because really live scope, side imaging, you're picking up that air bladder or gill plate. It's you're either picking up the air or the hardest part of the fish, which is your gill plate.
Right here, you're coming right on his gill plate.
Right on his gill plate. That's the hard. You take
it gives you most return off your.
Yep. So
never
that's
thought
what
about
we're picking up. So when I'm dropping, when I'm looking at that pile, I'm looking. When I dim it down, that wood that's down there is going to be soft. It's not going to be rock hard.
It's not going to be bright. It's going to be kind of duller.
Yeah, it's when you run that gang down, it's going to dull out, and then when you start looking for those gill plates or air bladders, you're looking for a baseball in the size of a giant root wad, and that's going to stick out because it's going to show out. It's going to show hard, and then when it starts twitching or moving around, you're guaranteed. You're like, okay, I know this is a fish for sure now.
And the good thing is, if you see your jig there, that means you are the center of the cone. You are in the zone of that fish.
Yep.
So it's going to show it. If you're not in the center. That's the thing. You're out there 25 feet and can't see your jig, and the fish is bright. You're not in the center of that cone.
Yeah, and I have a lot of clients. They're like, my jig, or you just moved it a little bit. And what I try to tell them is, I'm always moving that troll motor. And John, I know you do it. Tim, you do it.
I do it too. Yeah.
So you find that fish and you stop and you're getting your angle right. But then I'm bouncing my transducer left and right of that fish until I find that perfect spot on her. I'm always moving. Now, when I find that spot, I'm going to be locked in for 15, 20 seconds until she moves or the boat shifts a little bit. Then I'm back to what I'm doing is I'm starting wide and I'm just narrowing it down real tight.
That's right. Well, a lot of people, we all do it. If somebody goes with you, and Neil, Ashley's dad, pointed out, you do a lot of stuff subconsciously with your foot that you don't realize you're doing. You don't tell anybody. Like you said, feathering that trolling motor back and forth till you get it just that right pitch where hey, that's a great cast, or that's the spot I need to be in. You go through a lot of that and you don't really think nothing about it because it's just how you dial in on a fish,
Hey, Shane, Tim got his he got his brakes in.
I did see you put them things on there. Tim got his power brakes right there behind us. I forgot. It took him a while because by the time he was trying to pick them up, that guy, what's his name, won the Bassmasters Classic. Oh, I done lost his name. Justin Hamner. He won the Bassmasters Classic, so he was busy.
Tell us a little bit about your experience so far with them. I know me and you message, pretty much every day or every other day. How's it been?
It's nice on that boat. I used them all day yesterday on my guide trip, and I didn't accidentally leave them down and take off.
I've done that.
But it saves so much time turning that trolling motor, backing up.
It is. If you see some fish or a brush, and you can turn, or if the wind's barely puffing at your back, you can just tap on it and back up. It's nice.
When you're running and you're going with the wind, and you see something you want to cast at real quick, you back up and you stop it and get.
They're handy for sure, man.
Yeah. Very well made. Very well made.
Oh yeah, they are. I've been beat. I had the first set he sold to anybody, Tim, and I've been beating on them for the first set. Yeah. So, matter of fact, he's probably going to exchange the ones I got for these, where he can, that's the first set he sold. So,
on the side scan though, John, I do want to go back.
Go ahead, yeah, please.
When you're looking for black crappie compared to white crappie, you're looking for two completely different things. So your blacks, they're going to be schooled up. There's going to be more than one of them there. Your whites, you're going to see one here, 5 feet, 10 feet more, and you may find another one, but they're not going to be bunched up like you're schooling blackfish. So if anybody's out looking for them and they see those,
I was trying to save those pictures, Shilo, that you sent me from.
I've got some really good ones I'll send to you.
When you remember the ones that you said, the roamers, there were two sitting out there, and people's like, them's bass and crappie, and that was the same fish that you and I went and fished for. They were setting out, two like this, just setting out.
Pull it up.
Yeah. I can turn my phone on. I hope they won't kick me off.
I don't know if it's like, I feel like more on the flats are better for the white fish.
I'm not sure if you can see it. Try to turn it right.
You send it to me, and I'll post it on here.
Okay.
It won't take but a second. I'm turning my phone.
While he's doing that, don't you feel like you get more of those flats and you see it, that there he is and there he is, you know what I'm saying? There's some on the ledge and stuff, but I feel more comfortable when I mess with those whitefish to get on that flat and just run and go right off the ledge.
Yeah, and what I'm not getting on top of that ledge, and I'm not putting waypoints on those individual fish. I'm just going to put one waypoint on that flat Typically, it's just a fish waypoint with ROAM on it, meaning roam. They're roamers on this flat. So then I can come back and I can run my grid pattern back and forth to those fish and really tune, I can pick them off that flat.
Do you label a lot of your waypoints like that, Shilo?
I do. Brush, roam, SB for stake beds, stumps, root rods, horizontal trees, that kind of stuff.
I got you. Well, that's a great tip too, guys.
Because if I'm picking fish off of stake beds, I want to run stake beds. If I'm realizing, okay, hey, it's a sunny day, they're sitting under horizontal trees, I'm gonna just fish horizontal trees. Now I'm still gonna poke my head in those root wads and those stumps and stuff, but I'm mainly going in there for those horizontal trees.
Okay. That's I haven't got it yet, but I promise you we'll
Tim, what are you doing on your guide trips right now? What are you messing with?
We're still up. They're still up on the creek ledges and the flats in the creek, 10 to 15 foot of water. We caught a bunch of roamers yesterday. It was fun. They used my boat yesterday on my guide trip.
You casting those then? You just casting the roamer?
Yeah.
That's
all I do is cast. So
that's fun. I mean, the way John's catching them Easter eggs, that is the best scenario to me. But when you got to break down and catch roamers, it's a little work, but it's fun.
Yeah. Today we didn't see as many roamers. Today, a couple, but yesterday it was everywhere for some reason.
So
never know.
Big Ray here, and I begged him to come on here with me, but Byron Wise showed up about the time we came on. Jessica showed up about the time we came on. So Big Ray, he likes to catch roaming fish. I like to catch fish on a structure. I mean,
I like the roamers.
If I had to pick, I like catching fish on a structure. All right, because here you got pole timber, and you can tell how if you get on stack like 4 stacked up like on a piece of timber like this is awesome to me. And I'll try to get the top one first, and then just domino down. But anyway, so today we put in a clear creek, and there's a lot of grass starting to grow in it. So like if 4 feet down all the way up, there's grass. So Ray got on the edge of the grass, and there's fish roaming off the edge of the grass. He was sniping fish off the edge of the grass. I had no desire to do any of it. Hell, the first.
There you go. Go ahead, John. I got them downloaded.
But so the first 18 fish he caught were on the edge of the grass, coming in and out of the grass. They're using it to cover. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's a hard grass.
And they would roam out of it. I don't know if they were trying to feed or what they were doing, but I had. He said, "Gunnersville's got the same thing. Don't talk about it." But
I grew up in a lake that had a bunch of milfoil in it, and I would chase them off the edge of the grass lines. I would actually position my boat between them and the grass and run them out to the open water.
You told me that story. I told you that story. So hey, tell them what we're looking at here. Somebody was asking a question.
So that there's picture. That's a white crappie sitting on a flat.
Look at that. That bright dot right there in the center of that.
You can see the white dot right smack dab in the middle of the screen, and you can see the shadow less than a foot away from it. So that fish is suspended up 8 inches off the bottom. The other one I sent you is good too, Shane.
Yeah. How do you know that's a crappie, Shilo?
Just how round it is. It's not long. It's not
stretched like a gar or a spoonbill.
Like a gar or a drum. It's just got a nice round shape to it.
Same
there. So you got
several out there on the flat. Then you can see those.
Those are big whites just suspended. They're a couple feet off the bottom out on the flat. And that is my screen. So I'm side scanning 70 feet right, 70 feet left, and I run 2D under the boat. So what I'm doing is split screen. Yeah, I'm split screen 2D. I've got side imaging up top, 2D on the bottom. And what I'm doing is my side scan is not always going to pick those fish up that are 3, 4, 5 foot under the surface, those high floaters. That 2D is going to pick them up.
You're looking at side scan here and your 2D on the bottom. John showed me that screen. To be honest with you, I didn't know it existed till you follow.
Yeah. That's so that 2D it's so overlooked, but it's still one of my favorites to have on that screen.
That's the thing,
Well,
y'all can say what you want to. You're not getting this information on any other show there is. I promise you.
well,
You're not getting this detailed information.
what y'all was talking about getting a 2D is you get the hot marks with 2D.
Yeah.
So with down imaging, yeah, you get your marks, and that 2D will give you that fire hot mark. You're like, oh, that's a definite return. Shall I go into what I'm talking about? You probably explain it better than I
Yeah,
do.
so that's giving me the blue background, and it's traditional. I mean, 2D sonar's been out since the early 2000s.
That's what Aaron Martins used to use watching
Probably
his
the
gig with back
Probably the late 90s. So when I'm side scanning, I'm up on a flat 8, 9, 10, 12 foot of water, whatever. And if I'm rolling through and it's underneath the boat and I don't pick up one fish on side scan underneath the boat, my 2D is going to shoot me a hot arch. It's going to be a good arch. And I know if that arch is long and stretched, I went over a gar, catfish, whatever. If I know it's just a sharp pop, I'm like, okay, that's either a small drum or we're starting to look at crappie that are suspended out on this flat. And that's going to tell me I need to slow down and side scan a little bit harder, or go ahead and just drop the trolling motor, flip around and look at that fish, see if I can get turned around quick enough to see that one fish that I just went over the top of, and see if it was a crappie or drum or whatever. So
I got you. That's a good explanation. A lot of people don't. Everybody's into live scope because it's the newest technology and it's a little bit easier to learn. But all that stuff you guys are talking about is a bunch of details that makes live scope even better.
live scope is just one piece of the puzzle. Without mapping, side imaging, you wouldn't know those fish are up on the flat. You know how many flats you would spend just running around with the stinking and just burn up and never see any fish. How many stump ledges would you roll down, John, looking for fish on the edge of the river with your troll motor, when you can just run through with side scan and be like, okay, there ain't nothing here. It's dead water. I need to go scan over here.
There you go. Professional bass guys they wouldn't pick up a rod for 2 or 3 days.
No. Mapping, to me, you can have it at side imaging, you can have live scope. Mapping is still the biggest tool for me.
That's exactly right.
If you don't know that flat's there, you're not going to fish it. You don't know this creek channel's bends here, you're not going to fish it. Mapping is still, I think, majority of it.
Yeah, Roger Brown was asking. I don't know anybody that runs 360 anymore. I know some bass guys that do, but
it's just, to me, it's tough to make myself think about using 360 because you already got so much sonar in front of the boat, and you're gonna have that much more flash. But I could see where it'd be handy. You're bumping along new water, going up a ledge, and you say, "Oh, there's a brush pile over there." But hell, the way I got mine set, where I can look at my side imaging from the back of the boat. If I come by a brush pile, I think I'm still looking at it at the front of the boat because I got my graph up there, half sonar, half map. So I still see what I'm going by at the back of the boat,
Well, that's why people are running 2 transducers too, one in perspective, one in forward. Justin Hamner's a prime example. When he won the Bassmasters Classic, he had perspective hunting the brush piles, pinpointing with his forward transducer, and stopped with his power brakes. Pitched a swim bait in there, caught the bass, and moved on to the next one. It's
Hey, I got to show you Killer Color. We have no affiliation or anything with this. Big Ray bought some stuff to tie jigs with.
Yeah.
And I've never seen this color before. But let's see if I can get it up there to everyone and see it. It looks almost like a I don't know. It's got some red in it.
It looks like a bleeding shiner. I've seen some colors that.
Yeah.
James Bailey ties with that, John. He's got one called Pops. He's got one called Bleeding Shiner with that Schnell.
Really?
Yep.
That right there is sharp, y'all.
Yep. I've seen good looking color. You ain't gonna throw it on my monkey milk. Put that crap up, man.
Hey.
What did you catch them on today, John?
Ain't no doubt. It ain't no secret.
I don't know.
Hey, blitz, Bama blitz.
I still don't know what color I was using in the Logan Martin tournament that I was casting with. Tim's got he took all the baits out of the boat and everything. I don't even got one ripped plastic in the boat anymore. I don't know.
Tim incognito here. Throw this, hurry.
Yeah, he's like,
it's a monkey. It's a monkey melt, basically. It's you're talking. I know which one you're talking about. It's almost looks like that Chanel, the red nut Chanel.
I don't know.
But
you took them all with you.
Throwing honey bun.
Wife choice tackle makes it.
I got you. It's been
Tim pulled the John on me. He said, "I'm taking the ripped plastics and everything with me."
I'll get you some.
I've got a pile of my boats too.
Well.
That's funny, man. We done blew by an hour talking to these
I don't
guys.
know what
I'll
color's
tell you
called.
what we need to do, guys, is we went over the y'all state championship, the first of the show. We need to get in some more of this information on side scan 2D, and just have and really let y'all just go into it, because y'all are way more knowledge than I am. I know exactly what you're speaking of and use it, but I don't use it to the level that y'all do. We need to kind of get back on here. I think that's a lot. People need to understand that's a lot of information to take in. So I think it'd be great, to get back on here again and share some of that old school stuff. Like Bo Donaldson said, without old school, live scope is still going to it's not going to make you a pro, but you put it with old school knowledge and it turns you up a notch. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's where the success really, comes in. So, but I appreciate y'all guys. Everybody tuned in. We had 80 something, 90 people on here most of the show. Appreciate all y'all. Shilo, I guess, what's in the works for you guys next tournament wise? There's nothing.
I'm possibly, everybody knows I've got a baby due here in a couple weeks, so that's going to put a hinder. That's going to put a hinder on things. We're excited for that, but I think I'm going to possibly swing up to Ohio, fish Midwest Crappie Alliance up there. And then I'm waiting for the Alabama Crappie Masters to come out, and I'm going to drag Tim around with me this year again. And I think we're going to go out full force. Try to fish.
Mountain Dew to the rescue, baby.
Yeah, try to come back and see what we can do.
Well, man, you got to realize,
we didn't fish any tournaments for a couple months, and getting back at Logan, it was not. It's a little different, because we talk about this all the time. There's going after eaters and guide fish, and then there's also going after tournament fish and hunting big crappie. And I found my passion for hunting big crappie several years ago. When you get in tournament mode and you're looking for just giants, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, that there's a different, and I tell people this. I've been fishing with Shilo, I've been fishing with John. They see a lot more stuff than most of us do. To me, it's like somebody that hunts a cut over all the time that deer hunts. They can see an ear flicker, they can see a shiner, but and you're like, what are you looking at? It's the same way with them graphs and stuff. These people and Tim that see that stuff and really look at it a lot. You can't make up for time on the water and look at those electronics. So,
hey,
I've got me and John signed up for the Midwest.
No, we didn't, Tim.
I did too. I'm going to buy you a plane ticket if I have to.
But to go on what Shane's saying is, when Shane came and fished with me, he kept saying, "Is that one? Is that one? Is that one?"
Exactly. Yeah.
I just quit answering.
Oh.
I will tell you when I see one. That's kind of the mentality we took about it. But I register those fish so fast, either whether they're in the mud or up high. I know what they are.
And those fish guys, when we went to Gunnersville, he would spot it, hey, cast. And I'd fire that jig. And some of those fish were going this way. They would literally turn around and come back. I got a video somewhere that Shilo shared with me, and it run back to the bait. They were out there hunting, and that's what they're doing. So,
before we get off here, Shane, look, Big Ray got shirts now.
Look at that, Big Ray,
Crappie guide service and rental. I mean, you can rent the big house, the little house, the boat. the boathouse rent all of it.
He rent Ray too.
Fishing. So
Ray's gonna catch it.
the only
Ray's
thing
gonna
we
catch
gotta do, Shilo, the only thing we gotta do is we need to get together. You got a little carpenter skills, Tim does too. We gotta build
a table, Lord have mercy.
I mean, these poor folks going fishing with it, they dumping a 60 on the deck and had to pick up. They dump
Then they pull a hamstring getting their fish back up. No.
Yeah.
You know, Ray ain't been down there to pick them fish up.
No, he had to fold up.
Y'all can pick them up.
I said he's coming with a chiropractor appointment. As soon as you go fishing, you gotta back over catching the fish, dump them up, clean them. I mean, come on. So,
we're gonna spend a weekend down there and we'll build it.
There you go. Hey, we'll bring some McCarter down there, some 6x6s and 4x4s, build him a real one.
We'll spell it wrong too. Jackass eating briar.
Yeah, we'll make sure we spell it wrong too. But we just kind of like where we got out of base rings. So
they left the P out when they was doing it.
Oh, man. Man, what a good show, man. I love you guys, man. This has been awesome.
Be good.
We'll get off here. Hey, we're going to have to do it again because there's so much information, guys, that y'all shared. I mean, it's a lot to even me to take in, and I kind of know what you're talking about. So. But I appreciate y'all. Congratulations. Back-to-back state champs, Alabama Crappie Trail.
Congratulations again, guys.
Yeah, man, that's big time, man. I'm glad for y'all. It sounds like a great experience. Y'all can go back if this is recorded, so you'll be able to watch it and listen to it and let them tell you about their experience, and
the cool part is I'm still learning all these lakes down here.
Oh yeah, that's the bad part for everybody. That's the bad part for it. These people that grew up here know where everything is, and Shiloh's just picking up on it. So hey,
and then you got the newlywed there. Oh
yeah, Tim.
Oh man,
yeah. I've only been married now. Tim, you haven't been married too many weeks. I mean, the 18th.
Yeah,
everybody's asking me how the married life is. I'm just saying. After 11 years,
Exactly. Let's get off here. Y'all hang out at the show, guys. I'm going to end this thing. Thank all y'all. We'll be back next Thursday. Appreciate all y'all guys and appreciate all our sponsors. We'll see y'all next Thursday, 7 p.m.